Hey everybody. Well, I can't show you the really good T71 games I had earlier before the micropatch broke replays. I can show you this one. This was not a good game. It's pretty much a non-stop demonstration of what not to do. Mostly from my team, a couple of things from myself. A bit of a cautionary tale, and also a good demonstration of just how easy it is to be top damage on your team in a light tank on NA West. So we're on highway, already not the best start to the match. I really just do not like this map. It's never been fun, it's never been balanced, and my driving is not good. If that wasn't a sign of things to come, I don't know what was. Myself and the MT-25 are the only ones heading towards the western side of the map. I guess the RU, sort of. He's hanging around the middle, under the bridge. Not really a safe spotting place, but I guess somebody has to do it. Our Bulldog, meanwhile, is scouting the forest ahead of the rest of the team, and it looks like the majority of our tanks are heading to the town. We also have an ISU who appears to be AFK. I get spotted early. The enemy have pushed a scout up. It's the Sperrpanzer. Now, I don't really get a chance to fight these things very often, so I don't have much of an idea of how capable they are, which I'll show in a minute when I let him shoot. I try and knock down his cover to force him out the other side, which he does, but in doing so, I let him hit me way too many times and lose half my hit points and my repair kit. He fares worse than I did, but only just. And with only an IS behind us, and even he's having second thoughts, it's obvious that we're going to have to abandon this position soon. I just want to reload, finish off the Sperrpanzer if he pokes out of cover again, and then turn and run. Our Centurion, curiously enough, has gone to the middle of the map to sit next to the RU. He is probably not long for this world. Down goes the Sperrpanzer. There's a T-29 coming and an AMX M445. I can't deal with either of them safely at this distance, but if I put some distance between us, I should be able to. So I scoot down the hill, reload on the way. There's no reason not to. I'm not going to be firing my gun on the move. It's a real shame the T-71's model was corrected. The previous T-71 was a mashup of one type's turret and the other type's hull, two different companies' prototypes, and it was adorable, whereas this one is all from the same company, but it looks really ugly. The other one looks more like a American AMX 1375 or 12T. Speaking of AMXs, the M445 sits out in the open, allowing me to put a bunch of shots into him. Unfortunately, my second last bounces and my last one misses. But he's lost most of his hit points, so that's at least one enemy heavy tank more or less out of the game for now. He does obviously still have an active gun, but he's not going to want to use it if it means getting killed. Our IS, meanwhile, is being pushed on kind of cautiously by that T-29. From this position, I can give him some support. The T-71 can pen the front of a T-29 without too much trouble normally, but because of the slope he's on, I might have difficulty. He's more or less held down. I'm waiting to get a shot at the belly of his tank, which I got there, but because of the distance and because of the T-71's aim bloom, it's just not possible to get consistent follow-up shots. The Wheezy-132 moves up from the side of the IS and finishes him off. I look for shots on the Wheezy, but unfortunately my reaction time is just not there. And it's now time to move. I need to get off this hillside and get up to the relative safety of our base. Meanwhile, RSU-12244 suicides to try and kill an enemy T-71 and fails to do so. Complete waste of tank. And if you look at the minimap, our entire team is still down in the town. Now, we are winning the fight down in the town. I'm wincing, but you know. It doesn't really matter if you win the town, though, when the field's wide open, because, especially with a team this bad, the first thing they're going to do once they win town is push out of it, and what's out of town? A big open valley, which is overlooked by enemy tank destroyers. It's a death trap. So we do clean up the last tank there. There's a 50-120 hanging around, but he probably would have bailed by now if he knows what's good for him. I'm spotted by the enemy light tanks, which are beginning to probe my position. But thankfully the T-71 is an agile little thing, and so I'm able to stay on the move and avoid getting pinned down. Now you can see here a couple of them appear to be returning to base. They kind of head north a bit, and then some of them are staying in the town, not quite sure where to go, and some are pushing west. It's a mistake. In a situation like this, where it's a more or less even fight, and you control town, but the enemy are pushing north, don't push their base. Go back, defend yours, give yourself a much bigger advantage in number of tanks versus the enemy, and then you can afford to push across the valley. If you try and push across into equal numbers, it will just end horribly, particularly with the enemy getting flank positions on you by pushing across the river. So I kind of hang around the back of the base, expecting the light tanks to go for our cap. Oddly enough, they don't. The Wheezy 132 heads south to try and do something. I think he was going to try and get shots on those two down there, but they scared him off. The T-71, I'm presuming to still be under the bridge, so I want to try and finish him off, which blinds the enemy in the middle of the map and gives us a bit more playing room. Curiously, the T-29 hasn't pushed across the river yet. I would have expected him to be in the base by now. That suggests to me either he's a real idiot and hasn't moved at all, but judging by XVM, he's not, and he's probably returned to his own base, and sure enough, he's lit in his own base. So he's had the same idea I have, which is worry about your own backyard first, and then go push on the enemy once you have an advantage. Our IS-8 didn't get that memo, and suicides alone into a crossfire. The Wheezy 132 gets around behind him, and the SU-152 delivers the finisher. That leaves the ISU alone, and he appears to be retreating back into the city because of it. Meanwhile, the T-71's distracted, allowing me to dive in and get a couple of shots in before he even realizes I'm here. In fact, he may have been reloading or just AFK or something, because he should have got at least one shot off there. I won't complain though, because it's now given me the entire north of the map to play with, and in the light tank, this is the kind of setup you want. You want a nice big open area that you can mess around in and not be lit by the enemy. If they want to spot me, they're going to have to push the AMX up, or the Wheezy 132, who appears to be more concerned with defending. Now my plan here was to scoot along the 1 and 2 lines, pop up around E or F lines, and spot the enemy from there, allowing my teammates to shoot them from the 7 line on our own side, where they're just out of range of the enemy's own spotting. Unfortunately, my team just pushed ahead without waiting, and they ended up pushing into the river, which is the worst possible position to be when you're getting shot at, and the AMX 5120 lit them up. He was still on full health. Thankfully, they were able to put some effective fire on him, and in a minute you'll see him start losing some serious hit points. But all the same, they threw away their own hit points in pushing into that river. They really couldn't afford to do that. They shouldn't have done it. Meanwhile, our ISU, if you look at the minimap, is driving into the town. He is not supporting our team at all. He's actually driving away from the spotted AMX 5120, which he should be firing at. I'm not sure what he was doing, but it cost us dearly. We lost the Centurion there. I should have aimed that shot better. In fact, I should have ignored the T-29 and gone for the SU-152, but tunnel vision of my own meant I sat on this ridgeline in front of a 152mm gun, with predictable results. We do still have an M103 up, but there's not much of his hit points left. He's lost more than half of them. And here's the ISU, he's full health, and he was driving around in the town while our team got killed in the river. So this guy was pretty much less than useless. He does have a kill. I wasn't paying attention to who that was on, but needless to say, he isn't contributing to the team at all. Of course, because this guy is off fucking around in the town by himself, that means the M103 now has to retreat. and it gives the initiative back to the enemy team, who can deal with the M103 quite comfortably, and then come and look for the ISU, which is exactly what happens. By this stage in the game, any hope of win is pretty much out the window. If this ISU was a good player, he would have a pretty decent chance at salvaging this. A lot of the enemy tanks are very low on health, but he's not a decent player. He's really, really, really bad, and that's why we're losing. The M103 gets pounced on by the Wheezy 132, which does some damage, spots him, racks him, breaks his turret, down he goes. The AMX M4 comes to clean up. Now it's just the ISU, and in typical puppy fashion, he cowers as hard as he can, not knowing what to do. It's inevitable. This is now a loss. He doesn't even notice the tank right behind him. I feel deeply sorry for whoever it was that ISU killed in the first place, because getting killed by somebody that bad is kind of depressing. That's probably some of the worst tank destroyer play I've seen in a long time. So, you know, in a light tank there's only so much you can do to try and carry a team that desperate to lose. There were a few flickers of half-formed thought on our team's side, but it never coalesced into any kind of strategy, and I didn't have the time to sit there and type to them, and even if I had, they probably would have ignored it. So I just did what I could. You know, I picked up my damage, I did some spotting, I think, probably not much though. And at the end of the game, it was my own carelessness that cost me my tank. I was so target fixated on the T29, which was giving me bad angles and behind cover, that I didn't notice the SU-152 right next to me that was aiming directly at me. I possibly could have even killed him before he got that shot off had I not been focused on the T29. Run away, reload, come back, kill the T29 who had no real support. Run away, reload, come back for the AMX M4. Feasibly, if I hadn't got myself killed, I could have won that. And, you know, this is the kind of shit that you notice when you go back and watch replays. You'll start beating yourself up about things that you did that cost you the game. But, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Ultimately, one small mistake doesn't really compare to a team that just makes nothing but mistakes. Some of these people seem almost deliberately set to throw the game, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand why people continue playing if they are the common factor in all of their losses. I mean, there's of course all the excuses. Oh, it's just I get bad teams. I'm not a premium player, so RNG isn't skewed in my favor. All the usual ridiculous claims. But I mean, it can't be fun losing over and over again. I just don't understand it. People say, oh, I play for fun, I don't care about stats. Then why do you keep playing when you keep losing? And what's more, when it's you that causes the losses? I just don't understand. You know, it's not even like it's impossible to get better at this game. I know a lot of people who started out with, you know, bot tier stats and are now as good as, if not better than me, because they wanted to learn. That's all it takes. It's not much. It's really not much. All it takes is the realization I could get better at this game. Not even necessarily I am bad at this game, just I could be better at this game, and then a will to learn. There's not much to it. And I mean, verging a bit into into social experiment territory, but I think it says a lot about people that even when presented with the chance to improve at something, they're still happy to blame everybody else around them and not look at their own actions. I mean, for one thing, from this, I've noticed that I really need to start paying more attention to what's going on around me. That's usually what gets me killed, is I'm not noticing a tank right next to me because I'm too busy killing somebody else, or trying to kill somebody else. It's probably why I'm much better at mediums than light tanks. Mediums are more forgiving. Light tanks are a much, much more difficult class to play. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's already been done. There's nothing I can do about it now other than just hope I pay more attention next time and hope I don't get put on a team with these people again. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. As ever, I'll catch you on the next one.